Hey YouTube, it's your girl Chic from Chic Say What. I am coming on tonight because I wanted to give an update on the Jussie Smollett verdict. Um, Many of you may have already learned of the verdict, but I want to come on here and just talk about it. And it did go as expected by many, including myself. He was found guilty, not on all charges, but on 5 of the 6 charges. So I want to get into that, just talk about the verdict, his legal team, their thoughts on it, the next steps, all that jazz. So we're going to get into it. Like I said, most people kind of expected for it to come back as a guilty verdict. I really, to be honest, haven't talked to anyone who believed the whole situation, I guess, that Jussie was putting out there regarding his attack and all of that. From the beginning, kind of it sounded suspect, and then the more it went on, the more information that would come out, the more obvious it came to most, at least the people I would communicate with, that some just wasn't right. And it seems like the only people who appear to have kind of been in his corner as of late really has just been his family, his immediate family, which is expected. But a lot of those celebrities and things who kind of were out talking, that came out like back when it first happened, like you really wasn't hearing anything from them. Like who was speaking on behalf? I think like Vice President Kamala Harris. Is that what her last name is? I don't know. I had a brain freeze, but Vice President, she had spoke on it back then. Robin from the journalist Rob, like a lot of celebrities, for some reason, the name's not coming to me just right now, but it was like a lot of people speaking on his behalf, giving him support. But fast forward to, today, or leading up to this trial or the verdict, it was like crickets. It was crickets. So let me see. Let me look up and see who were some of the people that were kind of supporting him. Celebrity supporters, because it was quite a bit. Their names not coming to me, I guess, because like I said, they got ghosts. So I haven't heard their names in a while. But he had a good number of supporters back then when it did transpire. We all know Don Lemon was a supporter. His name came up in the trial, that he was kind of giving texting Jussie Smollett information pertaining to, like, the investigation. And that, like I said, I reported on that on the last video I did, where on Monday, when Jussie got on the stand and testified, he mentioned that Don Lemon of CNN had sent him a text to inform him that the Chicago Police Department was investigating him and they weren't really buying his story. Basically, he kind of gave him the heads up on that. So looks like Ava DuVernay was a supporter. Let me share my screen. Hey Yuri, thank you. Welcome. I was just right now, I want to share my screen because, back when everything popped off with Jussie, he had quite a bit of supporters, but it's like everybody kind of jumped ship as more and more information started coming out. And I was trying to reflect on the names of these celebrities who were supporting him back then, because it was like a lot of them, like people that was coming out speaking for him, people of the LGBT community, supporters of the LGBT community. I mean, he had a lot of supporters. So after everything kind of started coming out and it started looking suspect as far as, the whole situation, and us learning about the police department, the Chicago Police Department, thinking that it was a hoax, and a lot of people kind of fell back. So here's looks like a tweet that Ava DuVernay did back in February 17, 2019. She says, despite the inconsistencies, I can't blindly believe Chicago PD, the department that covered up shooting Laquan McDonald over a dozen times. Question mark, that operated an offsite torture facility. That one, I'll wait. Whatever the outcome, this won't stop me from believing others. It can't. Okay. So someone by then it said by called Al Distributor said a reply to Ava said, "Sister, I respect all that you do for our people and just who you are, but this case was fishy from the start. What famous person goes out in sub-zero weather at 2 a.m. for Subway alone? Then he wore the rope around his neck back to the hotel and walked past the guard at the hotel." Ava responded saying, "Yes, sir, I hear you and agree. I wrote there are inconsistency. He might have lied. he might he might be not have. I don't know, but what I do know, I never believe police on general principle just because they say so. My experience, our history makes it impossible for me to do so." Yeah. So that was Ava DuVernay's, comments back then. Fast forward to today, I haven't heard anything from her pertaining to this case. Yuri, you said those Nigerian Jews was blowing Jesse boys back out. What a mess. Yes, I mean that all came out on the stand too. I'm gonna share my screen. I want to share the trial update that CNN provided pertaining to this matter. So this is on the edition.cnn.com. Jussie Smollett found guilty of falsely reporting a hate crime. So it goes on to say Smollett's attorney says he respectfully disagrees with the verdict and will appear. Nenye Uche, Jussie Smollett's attorney, said he respectfully disagrees with the jury's verdict, adding that he feels 100% confident that Smollett's case will be won on appeal. I don't think so. Smollett is 100% confident that this will be reversed on appeal. Uche said, "At the end of the day, we believe justice will prevail. We don't believe it was done today, but we're very confident that he will be cleared and he will be found to be innocent." End of quote. Uche said Smollett is disappointed, but emphasized that his team remains confident in Smollett's innocence, and said he is hopeful to get a fair result in appellate court. So, CNN legal analyst Smollett exposed himself to jail time with testimony. So, a jury found Jussie Smollett guilty of 5 counts of disorderly conduct for making false reports to police that he was a victim of a hate crime in January 2019. A disorderly conduct charge for a false crime reports is a class 4 felony and punishable by up to 3 years in prison and $25,000 fine. However, CNN legal analyst Joey Jackson said the judge could give the former Empire actor probation, but added that Smollett exposed himself to jail time when he testified in court. I still don't think he's going to get just jail time. I mean, I think he'll get community service, whatever other alternative, get hit with the fine, but I don't see him going to jail. First time offense, he doesn't have any criminal history, so I don't see them, putting him in jail. He's probably didn't even go to jail tonight after the verdict came. So it goes on to say, when you testify in a case, the judge now gets a sense of what you said, Jackson told CNN. What Jussie Smollett said was resoundingly rejected by that jury. The jury did not buy what he was selling. That's not lost upon a judge. You came into the courtroom and fabricated. So Laura Gold, a former federal prosecutor, agreed with Jackson, saying Smollett's testimony was a miscalculation by the defense team. So him taking the stand led to his exposure in a way Joey has spoken about. Coates said, a judge is now looking at you, taking everything you said you had to say and assessing it. So I know more often than not, it's not recommended, for a person to get on the stand and testify in their own trial, but sometimes in very rare cases, it can help and make a difference. So I think in this situation with Jussie, his lawyers kind of did just like a Hail Mary because they're like, this not looking good for us, so we might as well throw you on the stands. Because to be honest, it doesn't seem like, or I haven't heard of names popping up for people on the defense side as far as witnesses. Like I did learn that there was like over 30 people who were testifying in this trial, but I didn't know, okay, of those numbers, how many was for the defense versus the prosecution side. But as I said, when you're listening in the media or just water cooler talk, 99.9% of the people were not buying what Jussie was saying. So, yeah, like I said, I believe that the attorney just kind of took a chance with it and was like, okay, well, we just got to do what we got to do and just see kind of how we can make this work with putting you on the stand. Cause I think they probably looked at him as pretty much their best witness because it's probably like that it was a short list that they had. So Jussie was all they had. So let me see. Let's get into these accounts. Smollett was acquitted on one of 6 counts against him. So let's see what it says. Jussie Smollett has been found guilty of 5 counts of disorderly conduct for making false reports to the police that he was a victim of a hate crime in January 2019. He was acquitted on 1 count of felony disorderly conduct related to making false police report. He was the victim of an aggravated battery to Detective Robert Graves. So Smollett was found guilty of these charges. So count 1, guilty, making a false police report. He was a victim of a hate crime to the police officer, Muhammad Beg. Count 2, guilty, making a false police report. He was the victim of a battery to Beg. So what's the difference between these? So making a false report, he was the victim of a hate crime. Found 2, making a false police report. He was the victim of battery. Okay. Count 3, guilty, making a false report. He was a victim of a hate crime to. Okay, so everybody he told the story to, he he got a charge for, because some of these it looking like it's the same thing. Count 3, making a false police report. He was a victim of battery to Detective Kimberly Murray. Count 5, guilty, making false police report. He was victim of a battery to Detective Kimberly Murray. Yeah, I'm kinda lost here because it's like a lot of this is reading the same thing. So I'm not understanding why it was multiple accounts. What happens next? A disorderly conduct charge for a false crime report is a class 4 felony and punishable by up to 3 years in prison and $25,000 fine. Cook County Judge James Lynn will have discretion in imposing a concurrent or consecutive sentence for each count at a later date. So Ola Osundario sat expressionless as Smollett verdict was read. So he's one of the brothers. So Ola watched the Jussie Smollett verdict being read while sitting in the court overflow room, sitting in front of a big monitor that carried the signal live from the courtroom. Ola sat quietly without expression while the verdict was read. His expression never changed. About a minute after the verdict was read, while holding hands with a woman sitting next to him, Ola looked down at the floor for over a minute. Bola, his brother, was not at the courthouse as he is scheduled to fight in a boxing match in Louisiana tonight, according to his attorney. Some context: last week, brothers Bola and Ola Osundario testified that Smollett, who is Black and gay, directed and paid them to carry out a sham anti-gay and racist attack in order to garner sympathetic media coverage. Their testimony, as well as that of 5 Chicago police investigators, formed the core of the prosecution's case against Smollett. So Smollett appeared rigid and gazed straight ahead following reading the verdict. I haven't seen the footage yet. I mean, with him following, I watched, I guess it was Ola who was present there. I guess that was probably his attorney, speak to the media, but I did not see Jussie. A lot of the reporters were like, "Where's Jussie? Where's Jussie?" So I don't know if he snuck out the back, but I didn't see, haven't seen just yet him, following the verdict. But it does read Jussie Smollett to appear rigid after the verdict was read in the court Thursday evening. He did not move and was seen gazing straight ahead. His fingers were interlaced in his hands on the table straight in front of him. Smollett didn't look at his family, the judge, or anyone except for straight ahead in the direction of the jury. The former Empire actor was found guilty of 5 counts of disorderly conduct for making false reports to police that he was a victim of a hate crime in 2019. He was acquitted in 1 account of felony disorderly conduct. So there it is. I'm not quite sure yet when they'll have to report back as far as to learn like the sentencing and all of that. I haven't learned that just yet. I'm really just right before jumping on to do this live had learned that a verdict had indeed come back. So I started kind of just researching some information pertaining to the charges and things like that. Jury deliberated for more than 9 hours before reaching a verdict. I really didn't feel like it was going to be a long time, like that the jury would be out for a long time deliberating on this one. I felt like it was going to be like less than 24 hours. So it seems as though they pretty much did it all in one day. If you're saying 9 hours, a verdict has been reached in the trial of Jussie Smollett according to Mary Waninsky, Director of Communications of the Office of Chief Judge of the Cook County Circuit Court. The jury of 6 men and 6 women deliberated for more than 9 hours, 2 hours on Wednesday and about 7 hours on Thursday. So there you go. So they did it over the course of 2 days, yesterday and today. The trial, which began last week. So what else we're saying? See if it has anything else. Here's what Jussie Smollett said during his testimony. Smollett suggested that the brothers whom he knew from the Empire set may have had other motivations at play. He said Ambi, who he called Bond, helped him get drugs, including cocaine. He also said a sexual relationship began to forge between the two at a particular Chicago bathhouse. One night, the two were out, and Smollett testified they got a private room and did more drugs and made out. What Smollett told jurors about his relationship with Ambi, he said the two snuck away from his brother after the 3 were at a female strip club together. Smollett testified that they again got a private room and made out a little bit, masturbated together in testimony last week. Ambi denied they had a sexual relationship and said he didn't know there was even any sexual tension. Interesting. Smollett said he wasn't friendly at all with Ola. He kind of creeped me out, Smollett told jurors. Every time we were around him, he didn't speak to me. Every time we needed to leave, he made it seem like we needed to sneak off. Smollett testified a hate letter was sent to him on the Empire set. Smollett denied the attack was a hoax. Some more context. Last week, brothers Olan and Ola, who is a Black testified that Smollett, who's Black and gay, directed and paid them to carry out the sham anti-gay and racist attack in order to garner sympathetic media coverage. Their testimony, as well as that of 5 Chicago police investigators, formed the core of the prosecution's case against Smollett. So there we go. The trial concluded Tuesday after 5 days of testimony and 14 witnesses. The judge told jurors the matter will be in your hands tomorrow, but not to make any assumptions about how long things would take from there. Maybe something short, maybe something long, something between, Lynn said. We're almost there. Yeah, so there we have it. We got our verdict, so we have to wait and see. Yeah, when he has to report back. Let me see if that's out there yet. Let's see if it's out there yet when he has to report back. And let's see. Have report back to court. Let's see if this is out there. Let me see. I'm not seeing just yet. It's saying when he's due to return back to court. It just only talks about the guilty verdict. Yeah, so I don't see that that's out there yet when he has to return back to court for his, for the sentencing and all of that. So we may have to come back and maybe report on that. But like I said, I don't feel like it's really going to be that deep as far as Jussie's the sentencing. I think they'll go light on him, even though he did get on the stand. I don't see them giving him any jail time. I mean, I can see him getting hit with the fine, a $25,000 fine. But the rest be probation and the appeal, I think they might as well hang that up, because as quickly as they came back with a guilty verdict, I don't see them winning on an appeal like in the future on this one. I think this is it. I think Jussie's best bet is to just go somewhere. Go somewhere and let time pass and let somebody else become the news, because as long as he keep playing around and trying to bring it back to court and play on people's intelligence, it's just gonna make him look that much more crazier. And I'm pretty sure low key, his family kind of feel like, we might need to just kind of leave this alone. And again, where does this money come from? It costs money to be fighting cases in the court. And there, from what I've read, he hasn't done any acting work since the whole incident. I know after the incident, he did a concert. You guys remember when he was on stage, or he compared himself to like Tupac or something. He just talked about when he got attacked and how he fought back and all of this. Like he really, had people going like, y'all, I fought back. I'm like Tupac, so somebody, reminded me of when he was saying all that following, the attack or whatever. But it's a sad situation, but I feel like the truth has come out, and it's time for Jussie to get himself together and try to move past all of this. Like, it is what it is. The verdict came in, so he needs to start trying to rebuild whatever that may look like. it's time for him to get honest with himself and do some serious soul searching. But even with that being said, I think that he is dealing with some tough times, where because of what he brought onto himself. So with that being said, I think it will be important for him to have people who care about him surrounding him, because I can only imagine that he's not in a good mental and emotional place. And we all know where, what that can lead to when we're not mentally and emotionally healthy or balanced. So I think it definitely will be good for family and close friends to stay near. But I also don't feel like it's healthy as far as with people encouraging for him to continue on to try to fight then fight what we already know to be true. Like I think he needs to just like hang it up, like just hang it up. Let's just try to just move on, like that part. But yeah, that's all I have for you on this one. So please like, share, subscribe. Thank you for those who did happen to catch the live. If you catch the playback, thank you as well. Hit the notification bell so you do know when I do go live. Hit the like button. It helps with the algorithm. And I may come back later on, like once we learn more about the sentencing, because I haven't tonight. I didn't see anything really pertaining to that part. We just see what the verdict is and what the punishment could be, but we don't really know what that punishment will be. So I may come back on, later when that information is out there to provide you all with an update. So until the next broadcast, peace.